Testing. Mic is working. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start with. I'll just go from left to right. First one that came in. Go ahead and start reviewing. So disable AI. This is a good shape. So this shape here in the bottom right is uh, resolved, essentially. It's a settled shape. So in this particular board with two 4/4s, and we have two 3/4s, usually you want to take the last 3/4 on the board, and then your opponent gets to pick, how they approach this. If you're worried about your opponent approaching like this, you can always kick, and then your shape is somewhat settled like this. But if you're really worried, you can lean and then play like this. I wouldn't recommend the first one, normally because when you play like this, you're kicking and then you still have to come out. Because now if you play away, the opponent has a really nice move of just sealing you in. Usually this shape comes about when we have this, so now they can't seal you in one move. So this one is good if they approach a little too far. If they approach extremely close, this is when you would want to lean and then pincer. You can also play here, but when you get to this position, I guess this is fine. But you run into this position where you're giving the opponent an option to fight you back. So very simply, this shape is settled as it is, and black should focus on the other part of the board. So black gets the corner. This is good Joseki. So normally we won't play here. I know the common move is to play something like this, and we cut. You can play here. But now, if you can get this combination, it's good. There's a chance the opponent might Hane, which they did in the game. Connect, connect. And this is pretty good. I know other strong players will recommend the Hane because when they connect, you get a better position this way. But generally, this is a good way to fight back against the Hane. It's this position slightly bad for black, and then if we consider this position where black just connects, they made a bad exchange, but it's not terrible. So this is normal. Black came back, so this is probably like the first slow move. If you consider the position, right, we're blocking in a direction that we don't really want, so we just give our opponent this, and then play away. We kind of make the board split, where black has 3 stones on white side of the board, if you consider the split. And then black has a moyo going, or some sort of like framework, but white has the ability to jump in. So this is, I would consider, somewhat balanced. But in this position, we're really over concentrated, and we don't really want to add another move here because we're super solid anyways. So like, if we play away, the thing that our opponent can do is here. So we'd Hane, and if they connect underneath, then so be it. If they play here, we're going to fight this. And white's kind of surrounded when we're attacking them. Backed off, this is fine. So Joseki is here. And this is just a normal way to play the Joseki. When you extend like this, the issue is that white now has really good shape, right? You're probably hoping for something like this, but when the opponent plays here, we need to take the one stone. In the game, white got a reasonable result, and yeah, I'm not sure what you were trying to do with this, because when we play on this side, we don't get to capture anything. Maybe you were thinking of another Joseki that's like this, but the issue being white already has the extra 2 stones here, right? So this cut doesn't help us. And you're probably looking to pincer, but If you cut out the beginning of the sequence, right, and you just play on the side, right, then you're off in a better position than you were in the actual game. White Tanukis, yeah, white had solid shape on both sides, and then white played in a large part of the area. That's pretty good. I would even play here, simply because if my opponent gets to extend, I'm already considering that this is big enough, and then I would like to make this corner a little bit bigger, whereas in the game when we play here, I'm thinking my opponent's going to get into the corner. And from here, it's kind of like this is the game that we're playing, so now we need to consider, what groups are weak. In this particular case, there's not really large groups that are weak, so can we build any moyos? Not particularly, but our opponent can. So we need to consider that we have all the territory as white. So this is points, this is points, these are points, these are kind of points. So if we consider any group weak, it would be the A group here. And then if we consider any side of Moyo, black's the one that has something going on here, right? So I'm going to mark this the triangle group. So that's probably one of the weaker ones. And now we need to consider like moves that we want to play. And just eyeballing the position directly, there's a few moves that we can really consider. I apologize, I'm yawning. Um, get really tired during the day. But in this position here, this is probably the move that I want to play. And one of the reasons I didn't want to play on the bottom is now I don't need to consider this move as something that I want to play. I already have a large enough corner, and now I can focus on playing something larger or reducing the left side, and the game continues. Here, it's definitely a move to consider. As for reducing, we can go in, we can attach. Our opponent has some weakness, but we can surround from the outside first. So in the actual game, white played the knight's move, so we're kind of reducing the left while building something, but you got 2 points, and then your opponent even invaded. So as black, I would not play here. I would focus on either playing a large move like this one, maybe sliding underneath, or playing here first, right? Getting this position, and then either backing off, playing away, make these exchanges type of thing, or just play here directly, simply because this is a very slow move. And the direction that it runs is this way. It's coming from a strong group already. So if the opponent plays like this, we can still block our opponent's advance and focus on making the left side larger, right? There's no value in the center because black already has stones. So here we went straight for the attack, which is not good. If you have to break the net, you've made white super strong for no reason. This, yeah, you want to cut on the side that you don't want, but the issue here is that white just connects, and there's no cut. There's no cut here. Even if you play like this, first they can play here, or you push up, there's nothing here. We can just take the stones. This does give you the ability to do a squeeze, but it's not really that important. Simply because white's just super strong, and then we're hurting our outside stones this way. Thankfully, our opponent gave us some moves we can play, forced to play that way, and we're continuing to play from the strong group, right? So if we consider this board, we don't need to add any more stones here. Big moves would be here, or in this case, we're a little bit stronger, so maybe we can jump in and start attacking the opponent. In this case, we probably want to play something like this, but we're going to die, so we might not be strong enough just yet. So something like this would happen. Black jumps. It's a good idea. We're a little bit weaker on the left. White owes this. So one thing that we need to be worried about is white can actually run with this group. And if we continue attacking like so, eventually white's going to be able to bring the stones out. So when white plays away, we should look at a way to make ourselves able to capture those stones. That's nice. So for example, if we play this way, we run into this position where we're looking to continually attack the white stones when they run out. White added a stone, so white's definitely looking to play here. Yep, that's what white did. It's good on white. You know, this position's a little bit harder to handle. We definitely don't want to give up the 5 stones, but also at the same time, at this point, white's already cutting the stones off and they're very thick. So having them play moves like 2, you can definitely force them to continue to add stones to capture the 5, and then you can focus on attacking the right side. This is a good idea. At this point, this group here, it has a lot of influence. It's not fully alive. Black did just add a move, so like there is potential for a cut, but this move isn't the important part. We should definitely look to run our stones out. Here, you allow the opportunity for white to push black into the stone, the wall that we just created for white. So white should definitely attack this. Black's run out. We can run out faster. We don't have to do one space. So one thing to consider here. This is fine. This is a good move to answer. One thing we can think about is playing a move like this. So if our opponent captures the points underneath, then we can focus on building the center. But this is a good move too. So white's attacking. So when you're attacking the opponent, you don't want to give them forcing moves, and you don't want to give them strength. So here you're making them stronger, which allows them to continue running the stones out. For something like this, I would cap. And then what you do is you take your stones. So these stones are very strong here. You cap in a direction that stops them from going this way, and you force them to run into your stones. Black makes somewhat of a blunder here. These stones are in trouble. They don't have enough liberties, so if we play like this, right, first of all, we can't play a ladder because we don't have enough liberties here. And we can't do a net because white will just capture. So this is a bit troublesome. You have to play here, and then white can continue to play in the center. But this way, you're connected to the group, but more likely, white's going to be able to start attacking the top side or gain something in the center area here. White peeped. Wedge is probably good. If white was worried about this, you don't need to be because you can connect, right? And then even here, you can turn, and there's no way for black to gain 2 eyes. And this looks like it's troublesome, but because of this stone, these stones are fully connected. And even if we didn't have that stone, and black played like, well, if we do need that stone, I was being blind, but like this, now you'd be captured, and that would be problematic, right? So having that stone saves us, and we can definitely wedge. So in the game, we pushed a bunch, which I don't recommend. I would still look to try to do a leaning attack. For example, I might add stones here, might attach, or might consider playing here first. And the idea is that if I don't add any more stones to this group, my opponent has to play a move, and then I can attack and split, which is an important concept to have when we're attacking stones. Otherwise, if we continue pushing, we run into this issue where the stones have a lot of influence and thickness because they have more than 5 liberties. Well, 5 or more liberties makes a group pretty strong or resilient against attacks. So we want to avoid giving our opponent any extra liberties as possible. Let's go over a little bit more. So in general, we played somewhat well. Black connects, and it looks like somewhat a somewhat reasonable endgame. So the big thing here is, at least in the opening, is considering the position here. Black made some just like mistakes, but it's not the end of the game. And then here we played in an area to split a group, but our groups themselves aren't perfect, so attacking the white group would have been fine. And then for white, considering how to follow up the rest of the board. So for example, if the opponent answers, we get to attack the bottom. If the opponent doesn't answer, we get to have a large corner, which is pretty big. And then black, kind of the theme of the game is we're playing unreasonable moves instead of focusing on the bigger picture where it looks like our opponent's growing, but it's not. So we need to consider, who can actually grow their area, and that'll definitely help your game out a little bit. We'll go ahead and move to Wayne versus Bugnut. And we'll do review. Something interesting happened. Sure. Okay. 3-3. Or not 3-3. Sanrinze. This is fine. So normally when we play the Sanrinze, we want to use the stones, so we'll pincer. And a lot of the times in this particular Fuseki, we get into this position where the AI recommendation is something like this, and then you'll do it again. But after the first one, we can just play away, and a lot of the times this type of position can be hard to play as beginners, just because black's area looks like it's super massive, but we can definitely invade it later. There's a lot of points to invade, so it's not as big as it looks. And when the opponent plays like this is fine. If my opponent wants to play on the inside here, I'm actually happy to Tanuki because the corner is still open in this position. I would even consider playing here because now the Sanrinse is less of a threat because my opponent's not building this large topside. Instead, they've played inside it, and I've already got my value from approaching. So we play this way, this is fine. I would have approached again, or I would have taken this or here, but this is fine. At this, okay. This type of thing needs to not happen. We already have a 2-space base, and if we want to grow, if we want to make the group safer, we would need to run out, right? We should be a little bit more active on the board, or we should play and approach the other corner because it's unfinished. So the opponent might have to play something like this, and then I would Tanuki. And then later I can just run away with the stones or shoulder hits and say, well, you have nothing on the left, right? Whereas, like, if you play here, this isn't threatening anything, and I think white is very happy to make a very large extension here. Whereas you play something like this, you need to figure out how you're attacking the one white stone. think here it's a little harder for white to consider this move. It's definitely playable, but now when you jump out, you have a reason to shoulder hit, attacking the stone in a large way. So white got to take away the approach, make the right side stronger, which is fine. We got to double approach. I just don't like the exchange that we made here. So at this point in the game, I think white has gained a lead in the opening. In this particular case, because the stone's so far away, I would consider just playing here. And the opponent might try something like descending down, but then you can attack. So something I would probably consider something like this. One thing you can do is you can descend and then push back up, and then you can take away the base. But that means that black is able to jump out, or knight's move towards the bottom, and they're somewhat connected. And the corner doesn't need anything else at the moment, but if you try attacking, there is some issues with stuff like this. So we need to be careful with our liberties if we ever try to attack. Kicking's fine. This move doesn't really add anything, and then you played the descent after making that move, but if you just play here first, it doesn't really change anything. I think you should just play the jump or just come out. Some way of coming out, this is fine. This type of thing, I think white's happy to lean on the group here and start attacking this group. Because what white has is they have these stones here, which we've taken already taken the base. So your descend doesn't do anything except for endgame. You might have stopped white from playing something like this, but in the long term, it just hurts your potential. White itself will never play this just because they're hurting the one stone that they used to attack your group. So there's no rush to play this. I don't know if I like that move. I definitely don't think it's needed. So I would consider just leaning on the right side. The opponent plays something like this, then I'm happy to play a tiger's mouth or play here. And if the opponent wants one stone, I'll give them one stone. Right? So getting something along these lines and forcing the opponent to make use of the stones that they just played would be great. Since white's out in the center, say later in the game, let's say white plays away, right? This is going to become a big move. And now later, a move like this is going to be very helpful. So there's the tool. So now we can play something like this. We can jump, right? These moves are very large. But in general, we're playing from the. We need to play from the weakest side, not defend a group that already has a base in solid stones. So white is going to continue attacking. I think we need to make this exchange and then play here. And black should probably consider playing along these lines. Either come out or play some forcing move. Otherwise, like in the actual game, white's getting a full surround and you should connect the peep. Even if the opponent gets this, we can attack the opponent in a nice way. It is a little tricky because we can't attack the opponent, otherwise they'll cut us off here, right? So we need to consider playing something like this. And then if the opponent continues running, we just split them. So you're basically forcing them to run into the center. If you can get moves on the outside, that means the top side becomes less points. Like this, I think black is happy to be cutting. I would connect here. Opponent attacks like this. We can take. But we fully surrounded the opponent if we can play here. The issue with the way that we have tried sealing, even if we do, well, if we play here, black is getting out with the Ataris. But even if we got here, the issue is that when black attaches and we Hane, they're threatening to cut off the stones, so we need to fix those. And they're going to continue playing this way, and then eventually they're going to be able to do some sort of cutting. But this is a large threat in general. So now if they play something along these lines, as long as black is alive, like, this is a big threat, and then we need to be careful of. Okay. Black is more or less capturing the stones. It's a bad way to run. Definitely should jump here. White took. We can probably be a little bit more active, right? Like, this stone actually helps us build, like, something in the center. And we're not really worried about the group on the right until our opponent attaches, but even if they attach, we're happy to give up one stone later. We can live locally and then play a ko, or we can force them to answer immediately and then answer, or Tanuki. If you Tanuki again, then that's probably good. But taking in black, I would consider, with all this thickness here, I kind of want to consider getting something out of this, but at this point, if the opponent plays like this, I don't think capturing the one stone is big enough. And White is happy about this position and will continue to play elsewhere. So at this point in the game, I think we need to look at the board, consider what's big, right? So White has a group on the outside, very strong, thick in the center. We have a somewhat thick group also. It's connected to the top side. We have some unfinished points up here. We need another move to make the corner bigger. We have a strong group here. Potentially we have to give up a stone later when White plays the Elephant Die. And then White has, this corner here, right? But they don't have the points here because we have a stone. So when we're considering the rest of the board, we can grow ours while shrinking theirs. That's kind of like a very big thing in Go, is you want to make points while reducing your opponent. Those are kind of like very large things I would go for. In the game, we leaned, and I think White should just give up the stones. This move doesn't do anything. This is... Yeah, I think this is just a free move for black. Do we need to play that? If you just play here, there's nothing, right? You can even play this one. I guess you were looking at something like this. But you can play here. Maybe not. Can I do any reading? I sure can. Yeah, I think White's a little bit in trouble. There's nothing really here for that group. And White died on the left. So we played a pass move in a critical moment, and we got cut. Whereas if we just played this, we could connect and just give up. We can give up the stone, but if black adds a move, it's really slow. So you can just go ahead and play a larger move. In general, you could get away with cutting like this and then pushing, but you do need to come back and fix. So to fix this, we play here, but now later we have this position to deal with. But as long as black hasn't taken a liberty off of this stone, we'll be fine because we can capture. if black has this for whatever reason, and then they do this, well, now your stones are cut off, so we would need to connect and then play this way. Black is happy to cut off the one stone, but this requires us to a Tanuki, and we're still alive on the left side. So in this case, we can consider the fact that making these exchanges is okay, and if our opponent plays here, we can play a large move. In the actual game, it was kind of disastrous. The left side, almost all of the left side is dead. That's why he's continuing to attack. This move is better here. Or turning. Turning is also a big one. Or just making the top left gigantic. We're removing a lot of the Aji that could potentially be there. No need to make exchanges we don't need. So here, this could have been a co-threat. And then this jump. Not exactly sure what we're hoping to do here. But black can just bump and protect. Black can also play something along these lines. And attack the corner in Sente. So if you respond, black can play away now. Maybe something like this, or even here. And now we're hurting the one stone on the bottom. And in this case, this is very self-destructive behavior. I assume white is trying to find a way back into the game. But realistically, the way to come back in the game is to make it very complicated. So you want to start playing moves like this, play other, invade the opponent's area where they have to start making difficult decisions. But when we play something like this, it's very easy for black to just say, I'm going to take the points. And here I would just take. So opponent plays here, like that, that's fine. If they jump, then later, I have Aji, but this group is perfectly fine. So now we come back in the arena. And white looks like they have stuff here, but they owe move. So if they connect or they play something like this, we can just fix, and they still haven't answered us from earlier. This is kind of where I'd say black is getting a little greedy. I would just consider this and call it good. So if my opponent continues to block this area, I would then just play something along these lines. Because if we consider this board like this, and we have points here and points here, white only has this and something here. If I make these invisible boxes, it's a lot easier for me to, or mentally just make the boxes, and it's a lot easier to decide where to play, which is important. Okay. Black starts kind of self-destructing as well. We're trying to save one stone we don't need to save. We probably can't do the same leaning, otherwise white is going to attack us. These stones are a little bit stronger. So I got the push, force white to answer. I would just jump, and we're still reducing the center while making points on the top right. This is somewhat correct for white to do. I would even continue attacking from the outside, simply because black is making this area larger. And black is allowing us to break in. The honey is going to provide some Aji that we need to be very careful of. We fix it immediately, which is fine, and then black is able to capture. So I resign. Big thing here was just this move. This move was very critical. It would have been better to just fix. And if our opponent continues like this, that's fine. Let them take a few stones, and then you can play a large move elsewhere. For example, taking the 3/3, jumping on the top side, reducing, right? Because now it's us with something like this. We have points here. We have something maybe here. Now we have points this side. Black only has this and something here. So if we consider the areas, the game was more or less in white's favor. And then this happened. Unfortunate, but it does happen. Just need to be careful and reread things that may look like Sente. We have Dave H versus Emperor Alchemist. Okay. So let me reposition my mic. Okay. So in the game, one like this is normal. Here we usually need to answer the follow-up, otherwise this becomes very good for white later. But I approve of the Tanuki. I would probably Tanuki this again and allow my opponent to continue to try to swallow the 3 stones and get moves elsewhere. But generally, if you play this, you want to play here. With this type of formation, I would consider pushing a few times and then playing a large move like this or coming back. But I think this is fine. We do have this, so white jumping in immediately kind of makes us feel like they shouldn't. And if they play here, allow them to take the extra stone, we can come underneath and swallow. Again, I'm not really worried about this. I'm going to play away. But if they answer, then that's when you want to consider either here or here. And because we have the R9 stone, we can attack white. So white's position here probably isn't the greatest. I would consider playing a little bit more lightly just because black does have that extra stone. And I'm not worried about giving up a stone like this. Because now I can continue, whoops. I can continue later, I can do a kick, I can continue playing away, I can now descend. So the only thing that black is really getting is like this extra stone that they can capture. In the end, played away, which is fine, but we're giving black. Oh, I mean, if we're going in for it, I would play here. Opponent connects, and then I get to come out or even jump. So if the opponent pushes, what happens is that white is being forced into this direction. We got to add a stone, but now we're reinforcing the bottom with more stones, so it's harder for white to make use of this particular Aji. Which happens when white is able to play a stone at like M3, and this also is going to help with the bottom left as well. But when we play here, white is pretty happy about this. I don't know about this stuff. I would leave it, and then I would play away. At this very moment, even if my opponent were to cut, right, there's no reason to continue saving the stones. The only thing black is doing is they're going to end in Gote when they try taking these stones. So I can keep adding moves to like the sides that I want to add stones to. Here, we just wanted a stone to prevent our opponent from making this large area, right? So in this particular case, I don't want to even add a stone here. I just want to play away. Opponent continues to add stones. I want to continue to play away. Because we already did our job, right? We got the stones to reduce this area. Maybe not the best way, but yeah. This feels not good. And then here, I know why you extended, but one, you can play this way. So even if white captures, like you're connected, this is also fine too. But if you want to extend, you should just jump. White's turn here isn't really Sente at all. But if you look at this board, white's getting a lot of outside stones, so we need to either come back here and protect, or consider playing away and playing on top. At this point in the game, it is becoming more apparent that white should definitely try attacking the 3 stones. It destabilizes like this whole area that black had built for themselves with the bottom and the cutting, but black has to play the first move here. This isn't really the... I would play here before I play on the left. White kind of needs another move here in order to make the left side something interesting. But even then, the top side's big. And if we consider this whole area as large as this, then I want the first move elsewhere on the board. Peep is fine. It's a normal tactic to play. I would just play here. So now if my opponent plays like this, I can get 3 space. If they play here, I want to be to a less powerful corner. But if you wanted to do something, maybe just peep directly. But I want to say C9 is the wrong center point to reduce. You can also just consider playing high too. So if you're really worried about your opponents forcing you to have, well, you're gonna get a 2 space space anyways. So I would pick the side that allows my stones to be the strongest, whereas the corner becomes a thick group that's harder to fight. So like in this position, we're making this corner stronger because we just forced them to connect, right? So now this area is going to be easier for white to capture. And the more the game continues, the harder it is for black to actually give up those stones. So you have to ask yourself, is the right side important? Is it more important than the top? Probably not. So I would have pincered. Here, our opponent played on the side that we don't want to play on. And the corner's still open. But if we consider the position of the whole board, we have a framework going in the top left. So I want to add a stone. Whereas here, you're giving the opponent the opportunity to switch directions here. So now if we fight this, they have a connection underneath, which would have been better if they, had a stone here, right? Like they could actually have fought that spinner. But in this particular case, they can switch directions and stop you from building the top side, which makes the game a little bit more complex. I think because we have the corner here, I want to try fighting the group on the top side. I want to play the Hane. If the opponent continues to play the Hane, I can double Hane. And like if we continue down this path and they run, eventually I get the corner and I get outside moves to attack the top side. Sure, my opponent gets to play twice. Generally what will happen is descend, they'll play here, and if they don't fix here, they'll fix on the top side, and that means I get it. So if you look at this particular position, we're getting the corner, and then black's own stones are being attacked, right? They still need another stone here in order to connect underneath, or they need to figure out a way to live locally. But if they live locally, that means the top side is up for attack as well. There's also this group here. This group isn't as strong either, so like having more center influence isn't a bad idea. Black loses their corner as well. So in this particular case, I would prefer the outside rather than playing for the points on the top side. There's also, we need to consider this group and this group as well. So even if the opponent played like this, Sente is going to be very, very big. Luckily, the opponent plays like this instead of coming back and fixing. So white gets to come in. I... I feel like this move is wrong. And the reason I feel this through move is wrong is we're allowing black to become stronger here, which helps these stones. I don't want that. What I want is to make these stones weaker, so I can attack these stones later. And then we didn't Hane. So now we're allowing black to build points here. In the end, the only thing we've done is we've ruined about 20 points on the bottom, right? But we're going to make these stones a lot stronger. So now when black adds a stone, almost all their Aji is fixed, and there's no issue. Maybe something like this to prevent some wild peeps or attachment later in the game, but in general, I would not have played that. I do think white is winning in this game, but I think at this point the game is manageable. We can check. White's winning about 8 points or so, probably because the top side isn't looking so great. I think the lead definitely comes from the right side, but this move probably helps a lot in terms of stopping white from making more points. Okay, so we're playing. So normally this move is when you have this Joseki, right? So if we continue this and we get to play here, it's because we're attacking, we're threatening to kill a group, which helps us when we can attack the group, right? But here, it's very troublesome. Whoops. Here we go. In fact, I can just crudely cut the shape, right? I probably play here, right? Obviously, if we continue stacking the stones, black can continue building. So which is kind of why I want to do the crude cut. Even if they have this move, I'm essentially attacking the opponent. Which we play here. Now the cut is less important, so black is less likely to respond, and they're just going to give up the one stone. Unfortunate. If we're gonna play on the top side, I would rather play here, just to get something going. But the bottom side is going to be very large. Playing this, I don't know why we're attaching. This is not good shape at all. And the only thing you're doing by attaching is essentially you're saying is all of this is white's points. All of it. From here to here, all of this is white's points. And if we consider the entire board, so white has a few points here, some points here, some points in the corner. Black's only points come from this area here. And even then, like, this is not however many points this is for white, right? Just looking at it visually, I can tell you we should not be giving white all those points. This would be an opportunity to... I guess, like, this is fine. White has to connect like this, and then we can attack the center, but this group is very hard to attack. One single solid move, and then the group in the center is fine. So we fix, yeah, and then white needs to place the center, okay. Corner's fine. Descend. So now black has somewhat fixed the issue. It's not fully fixed. For example, we get in this position where 1 and 3 is a great combo, so these stones are not healthy at all. And if you play here, white's still going to play something like this. And then now we need to... I don't know if we can... Maybe we can handle this, but probably not. I think white can handle this. This is a very hard position to save the stones. So maybe we have to play here. So black can handle that. So maybe we have to play here. And maybe that's all that white can get. This is a nice asking move though. So later, like, you can potentially gain a little bit more in terms of fighting. It's also a good co-threat. So white got to turn, but the points on the side here aren't really that important. I would consider just playing here. Bringing up the stone is not good. White found the move. So I'm assuming at this point, black is really just trying to attack the white group. And in terms of trying to find a way to attack the group, it's difficult. At this point, I would say the game is more or less over. The top left is just like too gigantic. There might have been an opportunity. I don't think this would have worked though. So if you play here and the opponent fixes, I want to try and do something like this. But here, either white's happy to just play a ko, allowing you to just leaving this earlier, or because white doesn't want to play the Atari. If they play the Atari, they're giving this Panuki, which would give black some points back, which isn't ideal. So just give up this, and when black plays here, probably either just connect or take the Panuki. So what'll happen is black goes for the few points. This might be better than I thought for black. So I think this is a viable option, especially if we can play this way. Black should probably play the ko, is what I'm thinking. And then for this type of the board, I would consider playing elsewhere. So if our opponent went for this Joseki, then sorry, I lost my train of thought. I would go for the descent here, so that way we have a wall attached to the top side where our opponent is going to have a harder time making points. For white, once you've decided to give up the stones, you should avoid adding more, right? Then if the opponent this one? Okay. Yeah, so the Joseki is like this. So there's a lot of options that can happen. So you connect or descend is usually, or the tiger's mouth. So when you descend, you have two options. You can either cut, which black turns, Atari, descend for the corner, and then Atari. So now later in the game, white can connect and start fighting. Otherwise, white can also Tanuki, and later black can capture the stones. But we also where? If you capture the stone, you leave this type of Aji. And then here you can also afford, in some situations, you can just give the outside. And generally what will happen is white extends, threatening to capture the stones. You play the empty triangle, they have to capture the stones. Yeah, this is the one I demonstrated in the game. And then here, this is the full scope. We're not worried about this, because later in the game when we have this move or we play here, this is a very good endgame technique, as we're essentially threatening to descend at R19, which is it's well paired with this move, because at this point when we block, this isn't something you should block immediately, but later in the game, when you have 18, you can play here for good in game. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let me share. Go down this line again. So this is the joystick again. So I'll show it again. So once they've attached, we can Atari and then descend. We don't have to play the outside cut. We can play the inside, and then it proceeds like so. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Happy learning.